Welcome to our next last meeting of the Road Impact meeting or committee. Roll call real quick. Brian Blazek.
Present.
Me, I'm here. Joan McInerney.
Present.
Jack Slager.
Here.
Dennis DeVito.
Here.
Doug Blocker. Denny Cobb.
Here.
Jason's here, and Craig Phillips.
Here.
Okay, I think I got everybody. So let's start with Craig. You want to just give us an overview of what?
Yeah. So essentially, since the last time we met, Tagi had followed up with me. I guess there was some miscommunication along the lines about some information that was needed for grants for this project that we thought we had provided. Turns out apparently that information had not been included in the document previously with regard to how many dollars in grants that the town has received over the past 5 years. And that comes to about 1.127 million that we received in 2019 as well as 2020. And those were community crossing grant dollars for paving, townwide paving, as well as some work that was done on the roundabout in Parrish. So I was able to get that information put together pretty quickly and get that to Tagi and Denny, and essentially what this boils down to is you have to include information with regard to grants that were received for projects that could be considered in this process, and as a result you have to take a credit for those grant dollars received when it comes to your overall estimate of projects, total projects. And so what it results in, essentially, I think you all have a copy of the document that Tagi sent in the email prior to this meeting. What it results in, essentially, is a slight reduction in the overall cost per trip based on that credit, about $34.54. And then that basically has that's the credit that we have to apply. So that has an impact of lowering the credit from the $372.64 that we had talked about previously to $338.09 per trip. And essentially these are the cards we're dealt. There's no way to adjust this at this point. There's probably no way we could have adjusted it previously either. It's just kind of, like I said, the way that this has fallen together. So, in a nutshell,
this is Dennis.
Yes.
I've got a very specific question.
Sure.
The credits that we received were applied for various projects. Were those projects included in the subset of projects we were looking at for the road improvement, or are these incremental projects?
No, these are. It's hard to explain this, but these are required to be reported regardless. So it doesn't, if you receive grant dollars for road funding, you have to report them and you have to take a credit for them, regardless of whether they are projects that are listed in your list of projects or not.
So if I can feed that back to you, the credits that we have to take against the original number.
Denny, do you want to take a stab at explaining this better than I can?
Yeah, what Tagi's done is recorded history on how many dollars you've received, and then annualize them so that he can project going forward the assumption you would get those same dollars by. So yes, you're right, Dennis, in that the money that the town received had nothing to do with the project that we have on our list. But on the other hand, it's the anticipation, or the way this is set up is that the anticipation is that you would be able to get the same amount of money and going forward, and that could be applied to these improvements and therefore the credit. Does that answer your question?
Well, that does leave on the table the task of getting the dollars in future years.
Well,
I don't-
we've already applied for this year, for example. And we'll find out probably in the next few months, what we receive for that same grant for the second round of 2020.
Okay.
It's a grant process that's available 2 times a year normally. We don't know how long that's going to last, but we would anticipate being able to apply for those funds in years going forward.
And is that a requirement I assume this whole calculation is laid down by state regulation? Is that so, Denny?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, the way you calculate the fee is laid out by statute.
Okay. All right.
So in a nutshell, because of this information and the requirement for calculating this credit, like I said, it's a reduction or credit, if you will, of $34.54 to the impact cost, the net impact cost per trip. And that's really the simplest way to put it. And as a result of that information and the new fee that's, being calculated based on that, we had to reconvene the committee so that you can discuss this and ultimately make a recommendation to the to the plan commission, and then the plan commission will go to the council. And this is expected to go to the plan commission on Monday, Monday evening, and so we had to get together and act on this relatively quickly. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
And excuse me, Donna, isn't it worth mentioning, Craig, that if the committee gets done today, there will be no need for a meeting tomorrow?
Correct. We'll cancel tomorrow's meeting if we finalize our business today. The other thing is I will have, and I've got to go back over this email with Tagi, but there's a letter that has to be signed by each of the members certifying the recommendation to the plan commission and council. So I'll have to prepare that and have you guys stop by sometime between now and Monday evening to sign that.
Right.
That's the letter that Tagi already has provided to us, correct?
I believe so, yeah. We just have to look at it and make sure we don't need to make any tweaks.
Okay. When you said prepare, I thought maybe that was
I
something different.
put it on letterhead, all that, that's what I meant.
Okay, perfect.
Or whatever we have to do to prepare it for the form it needs to be in. It may not be on letterhead, but you know what I mean. I mean, just prepare it in the form it needs to be to go to the plan commission.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and he did send that to us in draft form, so we can also.
Dennis again. I do understand the math. The math sort of makes sense, but I've got so many different drafts of what we've looked at before. Can you share with us the first year, 2021, what the proposed fee for single family was? And it's going to $24.63.
It was. Hold on. I've got to find that.
What's the exact number you got, Dennis?
I got 2463.68 on this most recent document sent today.
Okay.
It was.
Okay.
That's the one number Tagi didn't include.
Well, at 100%, it was 3879.15. On 2020 and 2021, that would have been based on the option that we selected.
70.
That would have been. I'm looking for that table. $2,909.36, if I'm not mistaken.
Repeat that again, please.
$2,909.36.
Well, now that I better understand the reason for the credit and what the credit implies based on future expectation, I could have done the math to determine how much this is going to reduce the fees over time, over the 5 years, and conceptually, that should be equal to the amount of the credit. Should it not?
In theory, Dennis, yes,
Kind of.
mathematics would be justified.
Yeah, kind of, I guess that would be correct.
Since we're using
So from the
percentage.
city standpoint, the town of St. John is whole based on the future expectation of credits, and we've reduced the fees for future residents.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. And then you have the schedule of the revised fee. So we go from the 2909 to 2463 for a single family home.
What's the penny, Greg?
Sorry?
2463, and what's the
68 cents.
2463.68
Would be a standard single family based on 70%.
Correct. I was just going to say that's using the 70%.
Oh, actually, so the number I reflected earlier, I'm sorry, that was 75%. I'm trying to find the document. I'm trying to find the document that laid out.
Yeah. Tagi had it listed by year, if I recall.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing that in his PowerPoint presentation under the fee. Hold on, let me see here. Road impact fee presentation. His presentation to the Plan Commission. I'm not seeing that breakdown. I see 75%.
%70 would be.
I don't know. Did we decided during that last meeting?
32.
Sorry, what was it? 2000 what?
2,032 and 58 cents.
No,
that would have been 70%
of the original fee.
The original fee was $29,036.
No, that 2909 was the 75% of the original fee. I was basing that. I was looking at the chart that he provided to us before. I don't know if we had gotten a breakdown from Tagi for 70, 80, 90, and 100% based on the decision from the last meeting. I'm looking through the emails from Tagi, and I don't see anything where he provided that to us. We decided that at the last meeting, at the tail end of the last meeting. So I'm not sure that
it was presented to the Plan Commission that way, as 70, 80, 90, 100. So
yeah, but I'm not seeing. Okay, wait. Let me see if this Plan Commission presentation has. Okay, that's weird. Well, so what you would do is you would take the 100% fee of $3,879 So the math would be you take the 3879.15 times 0.7, and the 70% fee was $2,715.41. Based
Say
on the
again?
last meeting, $2,715.41. That would have been 2021 based on the last meeting.
That sounds correct.
And then we have the, the information about the new rate, which would be the,
2463.68.
correct.
That's 246368.
Correct. Correct. So that is the bottom line. That's where we're at. And had we had that information at our last meeting, that would have been the number. And that's kind of what it boils down
May
to.
I ask you to share with Tagi? Sure would be nice if the pages were numbered and dated. I've got so much information here, I can't put in any chronological order. And even the stuff he sent yesterday has neither a date nor a page number.
Yeah, okay. I can convey that. He's trying to do this all very quickly and last minute, and so I'll convey that to him though.
Thank you.
The actual impact on the rate that we recommended to the council and the actual number that's coming up now is a reduction of $193.95. That's 193.95 the first year.
Okay, based on the 70% numbers.
Correct. So what a reduction if we stay with our 70, 80, 90, 100, it goes from 193 and progresses forward using the reduced numbers, which basically falls in line, 70, 80, 90. I just did quick calculations on this.
Right. Okay.
So it's a reduction, folks, overall of $193.95 for the new rate being the 27.15.41, a reduction from 29.09.36.
Well, I'm looking at this, and let me just give you an off-the-top observation that we are giving up whatever this credit is, and reducing the charges to future people in anticipation of grants.
Well, no,
Is
it's we're forced to do this. We're not.
Well, I understand that, but the effect is the grant becomes useless. Let me rephrase that. The grant is not going to be additional monies. It's a transfer of the reduction in this.
Yeah, it's just the state forces you, because this is it's a state statute. The state forces you to take reductions for monies you already receive for grants for roadways. It's just a way that the statute fell together. And I agree. It doesn't really honestly make much sense.
Well, the harder you work, the lower this cost is going to be.
But this number is getting lowered because of past grants we received. But
correct.
None of the calculations take into account future grants that we may receive.
Because
that's only a shot in the dark. You don't know.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But it does affect future grants, because you said the expectation is the grant's going to be forward-looking, that we're going to get the same number of grants in the next 5 years.
Well, no, that's not entirely the right understanding.
I agree with Craig. It's not going to impact going forward the amount of money we get. Each grant is going to be submitted. First off, this fee is not grant-based. Therefore, the money we're going to get is what we decide to charge. And it has nothing to do with grants other than it's reducing the amount of money that the fee generates. There is no grants associated. In other words, when we charge the impact fee, it's per residential home or commercial property, which is totally within our realm of control. However, the state says if we get road money, $1 million for the next 5 years for repaving, we're going to have to adjust our calculations when the committee meets in 5 years to redo the rates. We're going to have to take the impact of the 5 million out of the rate calculation. Is that correct? Okay, Craig, Denny, am I on track here?
Well, we have to recalculate the projects we've done, and we have to take into account the work that we do. The next time we go to reestablish this fee, any work we've done on roadways gets calculated into this, this complex spreadsheet of how you come up with the fee. And
well, don't you agree, Craig? It's going to get a little more sticky because we just reissued our bond, and we're going to use part of that money to do the intersection at 41 and 30 next year starting. Therefore, that money is going to be ultimately coming out of this road impact fee, even though that intersection, yes, is that intersection's going to be coming off the list of to-do items on our current impact fee.
Potentially, yes.
So just so you understand, if we're going to take, let's say, $2 million plus minus dollars out of the road impact fee 5 years from now, because we're going to spend the money to reduce our road problem.
Potentially, it depends on whether it's an existing capacity. It's a project that deals with managing existing capacity, or it's a project that deals with future capacity needs. Here's Taggy. I'm glad he's able to join us.
Yeah, because you're about to leave us.
Because I've got to jump off. I've got to jump off so I can participate in the NERC meeting. Taggy, the question that's posed to us by Dennis currently is, we're just trying to understand how the credit works and why the grants that we receive affect the fee. Why, we're forced to take the credit when the grants received are for regular paving projects and not for the projects that are listed in our project list.
Hi, Craig. This is Taggy. I just signed in. So
Okay, so Taggy, the current question.
One meeting to another.
The question that's been asked is, Dennis has asked a question about why does having to take a credit for the grants we receive affect the fee? When the grants we received are not for projects listed in the project list, but for regular routine maintenance.
Good question. This is what I can tell you about the process that we have seen in the past. Any funding that comes from citizen taxpayer assisted funding, whether it is through federal, state, or local, the rule has been that those need to be considered since the taxpayers are paying for it. It will be double charging them if we do not include them. It is assumed that some of these fundings, i.e. a bond issue, some of the folks will continue to pay for some of the new folks will pay for those. So it is reasonable to provide some credit for that purpose. You're raising exactly a good question, and that is the work that you are spending these dollars, or the activity that you're spending these dollars, do not have anything to do with the growth, and that basically becomes I have not seen anybody not to use it, and but it becomes a legal question, since these dollars are not being spent for specific activities that have been identified in the zone improvement plan, therefore they should not be included. I think it is a narrower definition than what the statute envisioned.
Well, let me just ask, any future grants are going to reduce future definitions of this fee.
That is correct.
So the harder you work for grants, the lower the fee is.
That is correct.
Are you better off not getting the grants?
Well, you've got over $1.2 million grants. And
But that's what we're giving up here.
Huh?
We're giving up $1.2 million in revenue.
Not necessarily, but it is, you're losing, yes, the $34, the average fee that we have identified there.
Keep something in mind, Dennis, that once we get the fee in place, that we going forward now know what the rules are basically, and the state law, what it dictates, so everybody will understand, so that going forward, when the committee recommends a new fee for the next 5 years, that they will be able to think through and go, okay, we know this fee is going to be reduced by 5 million plus or minus based on what grants we have, so that you could put all the thinking and all the calculations to work in the committee's head before we ever start. Therefore, when you sit down, instead of maybe, let's say 70%, maybe you come forward and say, you know, we ought to start the next 5 years, we ought to start at 74%. You with
Well, I
me?
guess, Brian, why would we have to wait, right? We could make that decision now, right?
Well, no, we can do that going forward for this round of 5 years, but then you're not going to touch the fee for another 5 years. So we have to adjust today with the recommendation to the council going forward if we want to compensate for this 300 or whatever it is, $234.54. Because in next year it 2022, it becomes 80% of the fee, 90% the year after, and then 100 and 100.
Well,
So basically,
this is Dennis again. Rather than pursue that line of thinking, let me ask a simple question. We are obligated by state law to do this? That's what you're telling us, correct?
Are you asking me or are you asking Brian?
I'm asking you, Tagi.
As I said, my understanding or the state statute is clear, saying that these outside funded proceeds that are taxpayer based should be accounted for.
And you feel you're accounting for them in the, directed manner?
Yes.
Okay. I understand. I'm finished. I'm ready to move forward.
Any other questions at this point? Anybody want to make a motion for an adjusted fee?
Dennis will make a motion
Go ahead.
that we accept, and recommend to the Plan Commission and to the Town Council the rates and dollar values in the listing that Tagi has published. And if necessary, I can read those off.
For clarification, yes, please do that.
Okay, for year one, which is 2021, it's a 70% fee rate, and the single-family impact would be $2,463.68. For year two, that's 2022, the fee rate is 80%. The single-family impact would be 2815.64. Third year, 2023, 90%. The single-family impact would be 3167.59. The fourth and fifth years, that's 24 and 25. The fee rate is 100%, and that would be $3,519.55.
Do we have a second?
This is Jack, I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'm going to take a roll call vote. Don Bathke, I say aye. Joan McInerney,
Aye.
Jack Slager,
Aye.
Dennis DeVito,
Aye.
Doug Blocker.
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. So, and other business at this point?
Again, I'd like to thank everybody for their terrific cooperation and support on this committee. You guys have done a splendid job, and I thank you.
So, Tagi, I do have a question about the letter that we're sending to Jerry Sweats. So there's only reference on the back page to the per single family for one EDU. Is there any reference that we need to make in this letter about commercial and about the bypass percent reduction?
Are you asking me, John, or I
Yes,
wasn't?
yes, I'm asking you.
Yeah. What you have in terms of the letter, that's your decision. We have put there the simplest way for you to tell the council that this is the fee rate. Those items are typically administrative items, and there will be references made in the ordinance to ITE's deductions and credits. Those are typically mentioned in the ordinance rather than identifying a specific rate for a specific item. I have seen in many in other communities that they basically, the advisory committee recommends just a trip rate. That is the trip cost, and go and figure out what the rest of this stuff has to be, and that is done at the time of the application for a building permit. But I thought that would be, and we have seen similar sort of scenario in, I think it is Westville, and that they both show what is the trip cost as well as how that trip cost ends on a per EDU basis, and that's what I have put in there.
I think that's a good catch,
Okay,
and
that seems good.
I would feel more comfortable having at least mentioning in that letter what the cost would be per 1,000 square foot on commercial development, so they understand that, because it's a big number, and I think it would be good that the Plan Commission know what that number is for the per 1,000 square feet of commercial.
We can certainly reference it in the letter, if you like me to add it. The letter does show the fee for EDU, and we can add that the EDU reflects a 1,000 square foot of commercial space.
Yeah, I just think, I think it's important to mention the commercial, and it's probably part of the edification of the council of the, right, because to Jack's point, it's a big number, but there's opportunity for credit against that I think they need to, understand. Otherwise, it could be, maybe a non-starter.
Mm-hmm. One item that often you hear from Dennis saying that these numbers for commercial space are often misleading, especially for the larger ones, because they will be broken down. There are other factors in calculations, in engineering calculations for these, in terms of the fee rate, and that is often less than what ITE tables states, and because every locality could be different, and so it's not like a across the board sweep that we're going to cut down everybody's by 60%, although that is permitted, or that is assumed. That could be gone through the calculations, but anybody that does calculate these on a project by project basis, the fee often is less than what the ITE requires. If I'm making sense. Dennis, you want to add there anything to it?
Nope.
I mean, Tagi, those are the ITE tables reference those land uses that are in that, like 800 or 900 series that have the bypass trip reduction, right? Is that what you're referring to?
That's correct.
Okay. And those in the 800-900 series were things like shopping centers, high turnover, sit-down restaurants, things like that, correct?
That is correct.
Tagi, this is Dennis. As we submit this recommendation to the various councils, in listening to you, two things come to mind. Number one, are we avoiding any pitfalls that other communities may have run into? And is there anything we have to do to alert the councils and commissions on how to implement this? I know you're providing frontline presentation, but as a group, I think it's implied that we are doing our best to have a fee that will not be objected to on a legal basis, and we are not incurring any of the missteps other communities may have had.
And any program that you start new, certainly there is a learning curve. The good part about the road impact fee or the impact fee is that in the state statute, there is a review board established there. And that review board will be established under, once an ordinance is established in St. John. That is sort of a good process to pause and review each case on a case-by-case basis. And if there are some issues, there is an institutional organization or a structure there that could review these, and that would also give a chance to not only property owners or developers, but also the town engineer, as well as the attorney to review these, make sure that is a certain level of fairness, legal responsibility. Those are all have been taken into account. Yeah, I do not want to simplify this process, but I think the statute does allow this sort of vehicle to solve any issue that may come up with. Regardless, it is a new project, it's a new program, and there will have to be a lot of implementation. Setting up that structure to implement this has to be done, and that has to be done basically once it is approved. The town has 6 months to establish those processes to make sure that the program is implemented smoothly.
Thank you.
Mhm. I hope I answered your question, Dennis.
Well, sort of.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that whatever we present is as free from stumbling blocks or previously identified problems that other communities have as we present this to our commissions and boards here.
Yeah, the biggest problem that we have seen,
I
and
think
that we are really doing all of our efforts to prevent it, and that is legal challenge. And what we have put together, Attorney Decker, I know you're not privy to it. He has done a lot of work sending us the stuff, make sure that we cover every item that is in the statute, and we have put considerable amount of extra work to make sure that we have covered those areas, and I feel comfortable, but at the same time, it is there is a process to address some of those concerns that you raised.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I think one thing to consider is that between Adam and Tagi and Denny, they have brought to the table their experience and time doing projects such as this, and therefore I think we dodged one of the major problems, which appeared to be the zone breaking down, like our zone district into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you recall, the town pulled that back because they found that if you charge the money for zone 3, that's all you're gonna get back. Zone 3 has to spend the money, and the towns found that it was too difficult to pick and choose where the zone was, and you didn't want to use the money for a particular case, but you didn't have the money to spend anywhere. It had to be spent in that zone. So I think that was a big, big item that Taggy and Mills addressed, him and Adam, and did a fine job bringing it to the forefront.
Thank you, Brian.
Any other discussion, questions? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
If I could,
Excuse me, one more thing, Donna.
Yeah.
I was
Sure.
gonna say, Taggy, would you please advise Craig of the cancellation of tomorrow's meeting due to the business being wrapped up today?
sure. I think he's
Thank
gone. Yeah, thank you. Is there anything about the letter? I know I've received some comments from, Joan. I've updated that. Any other comments from anybody else? I missed that. You may have covered it then.
No, we had not discussed it earlier.
You have not discussed it at all?
We did not discuss it before you came to the meeting.
Okay, because that is on your agenda. I have written that, and that's yours. You have, every right to review it. And if there are no comments, please, if you have comments, send them to me. If it can be done today, that would be great. Because the Plan Commission, as you're aware, has a meeting on Monday. And I would like to get this letter to them from you and the council. They're being CC'd for their Monday meeting. And so if there are any comments, let me know. I will correct them. You will also, if you could stop by the town hall and sign it. I believe it has to be everybody's original signature has to be on it. And before Monday, that would be great.
One other thing, Taggy, and that would be when you spell out the new rate, where we were, please specifically identify the 5 years going forward for not only the new rate, but also include the old rate. So it's easy enough for an individual to look at the chart and go, okay, it's this much, this much, this much. So just spell it out for everybody in case you don't know who's going to be looking at the chart, because it becomes public record and you'll have individuals out there who maybe don't quite understand the whole thing, but will look at the charts.
You're talking about the revised fee.
Right, the new chart,
the
if you
revised
just,
fee.
right,
Right.
so that people can see it. That's all. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Great. Good comment.
Brian?
Yes,
Brian,
sir.
I have a procedural question.
Okay.
I am trying very hard not to do anything but social distance. Can you give us a time when you can guarantee, well, not guarantee, but when the letter will be ready?
Can I? That's in Taggy's court. I have nothing to do with the letter. I'm an advisor.
Yeah,
Well,
but you're connected with,
where are we going to go? Are we going to go to the clerk's office or to the town manager's office to sign this?
No, you'll go to Craig's office for Margaret. Margaret will have the paperwork.
Okay, could Margaret send out an email as to when the letter is ready to be signed?
I'll instruct her to do that. As soon as Taggy can let me know when it's dropped off, or if she typed it up and it's correct after he's proofed it. I see no reason why she can't let everybody know that it's there and available to sign.
Okay,
Look, we are
And
gonna.
the office is not open on Saturday.
No, it's not. Sorry, Dennis, it's not open Saturday. It'll be Friday or Monday.
Thank you.
If there are no other
if not-
comments, if there are no other comments from the advisory board, I can literally, I've already updated what Joanne's comments were, this morning early. If there are no other comments, I can send that literally next 15 minutes to Margaret, and all she needs to do is print that on a town stationery and get your signature on it. If you could have
That's
today,
terrific.
tomorrow, yeah, today, tomorrow, or Monday.
That'd be terrific, Toggy.
Yeah, we can do
And
that.
you will be making a square foot commercial?
Yes, I'm gonna
Thank you.
revise it. As I mentioned, I'm gonna revise it, gonna put some, short language, add some short language in there that each EDU also applies to 1,000 square foot of commercial.
However, you can't predict what Margaret's availability is, so still, could I ask that Margaret send an email out to us when it's ready?
I will instruct her to do so, Donna. How's that?
That's great, and she'll do it. That's not a problem. I'm
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
And Dennis, you could always call Margaret ahead of time too, to make sure that she's going to be there when you're going to be there and everything goes quickly and smoothly. Does that
Okay, thank you.
work? Does that work for you, Dennis?
Yeah, I'd like assurances that I can, minimum amount of mingle time.
Yeah.
I have,
That might not be a bad idea to call Margaret, just to make sure that everybody's got their face masks on. Because I'm sure they, if they're the only one in the office, they relax that a bit.
I think
and
she
they're
has.
always
I
there
don't want
for
to.
me.
I was gonna ask Brian if that is possible. If you are there, you can call her, or she can send that letter out to your car in the parking lot and get you to sign it, so there is no exposure whatsoever.
Right.
Well, keep in
It's
mind,
open to-
Dennis, or keep in mind, Toggy, I've been high risk for the last several months, and when I go in there, it's all done well. So therefore, Dennis should have no fear, Dennis. I've gone in there and, been treated with the utmost of care and consideration, as you will be. So you and I are, we're now.
I never thought, Brian, I never thought at
Covered.
this stage of my life I would be delicate.
We get more and more delicate. Okay. Anybody else want to chime in with anything? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.